So it's been 2 years since the last video. I've definitely wanted to do more, and I've been filming bits and pieces of special pieces that I've been making, or just little things here and there. Just never had the time to really put the videos together and edit it. Yeah, so I'm really trying to push it now and just make sure that we do produce a bit of video where it's business related like this, or it could be more educational. We need to do videos for the studio. So before I get into all that, a bit of an announcement. Basically, we are moving into a bigger space. So you'll see back here, we are in a bit of a mess. So this is the new warehouse where 1280 will be. For those of you who have followed us a long time ago, basically when 1280 started and I was building it, renovating it, doing all that work, and that's probably the last batch of videos that I uploaded to our channel. So it's funny because now we're doing all that again, and I've got the camera out and we're doing the same thing. But this time, hopefully, even after the studio is up and running, I'll be able to really focus on the video stuff as well, alongside the studio and the business, of course. But the good thing is with the new space, it's much bigger. I've got my own office at the top. There's also enough space to do kind of studio where I can do a lot of the filming stuff. I might have a wheel up there so it can be more of the educational things as well. Because the main studio down here, so as you can see, this space is massive. It's a lot bigger than the old studio. It's probably about just over twice as big. But the good thing is all the space is in one big area. So this is it used to be a factory, warehouse, industrial, doesn't matter, but it's basically one big giant room. And so you can probably hear the echoes as well. Where in the previous place at Sydney Road, the space is divided into 3 sessions. So you can look at some of the old videos, which will, show you a bit of the process that we did last time if you haven't seen any of those. But this time the build's gonna be quite different because we are starting with a blank canvas basically. There's nothing in here that needs to be demolished. Basically there's like a little bit of a bathroom situation where we have to redo the bathroom, change the actual toilet, and maybe rebuild some of those walls. So I'm really glad. It feels a lot easier, but because of the pressure of moving, it's a long story, so how should I get into that? So basically, just to recap, we have been thinking about expanding since about September, October 2022, so last year. We did have a place that we wanted. It was close to the existing studio and in a good location. It's massive. It's 1,400 meters square over 2 levels. So basically, we were meant to get the keys to the new space on the 22nd of Jan. And the day before, the landlord just told us that they've changed their mind, they don't want to lease it to us anymore, so that fell through. So we had to scramble and get an extension on the existing lease because we've already notified them that we're moving out. But because we've made that place so much better than it was very popular. There were heaps of inspections, and it didn't take long for them to find someone to basically sign the lease for once we move out. So that means we had a set date that we had to leave, which is the 14th of March. Which is the 14th of March. So we got the keys to this place on the 1st of March, which gives me 2 weeks to move everything over. Obviously, I'm not going to bother building anything yet. The priority right now is just to get out of the existing studio and move everything here so we can return the keys and not have to pay any penalties and stuff. So that was a bit of a stressful process. So this place took about a month from start to finish, from the inspection to when we got the keys, a month and a bit. So I'm really glad that we were able to do that in the fairly quick turnaround. And now that I've started looking at this space and planning everything and moving stuff around, I'm actually really glad we didn't get the first one. So because that space is so big that our budget is the same, but because it's spread out so thin in such a big area and over 2 levels as well, and we wanted to put in the lift and just like a cargo lift to move supplies up and down so we can use upstairs as a ceramic space as well. There's going to be a lot more renovation, and the rent was a lot more expensive. So now that I've thought about it more, I'm just glad it turned out that way. I think we can still do just as much as I wanted with the other space. The only thing we're missing out on is having a dedicated gallery space. So yeah, so maybe we'll go have a look around the space. So starting from the front, that's our main entrance. In that corner, it's going to be our membership entrance. So we're going to have a digital code pad. People are going to have their own individual code so we can track all the movements, and we don't have to deal with having copies of keys, which is going to make life a lot easier with the management because we are hoping to have quite a few people at our studio. So from there all the way here, so there's going to be classroom, where that truck is, there's going to be a classroom, and then all the way up to maybe around where that column is, it's going to be our main working area or open studio space. So we're going to have 3 groups of 12 wheels plus about a bunch of workbenches and stuff. Some are going to be dedicated to hand building, and some are going to be for a classroom, so you can do your wedging and your glazing and all that stuff. Over here is the toilet situation I was talking about, so we're going to have to rebuild that corner wall just to tidy it up. We have to redo the entire top of the toilets because they're all do I dare to go in? Maybe. So as you can see, the ceiling's not in a very good condition, but the wall itself is fine. I think we're going to paint this all white. Yeah, everything in here should be white, and then it will make the toilet a little bit nicer. I'm going to fix the sink, like that's how gross it is. And we're going to change the toilet as well. There's a mop sink, which is really handy. And yeah, so it's a bit dark, but you know, a lot of this will need to be fixed and done properly. And then coming out here, you'll see our office area. So upstairs is going to be the office that I'll use for filming, as well as just general, you know, computers and stuff like that. Downstairs is a reception, so all that plaster is going to be painted white as well. So now going back to this area, so the toilet was there, and then that's going to be our cleanup sink. In that corner is going to be a private studio for Claire, who already has a private studio with us at the Karen studio. So she's going to come here with us, and we're going to block out a space there just for her. So from that space where up just above the window, or maybe cutting down the window a bit, it's going to be a mezzanine that goes all the way across until it hits that column, and then the stairs is going to be in front of the toilet, maybe like 1.5 meters away. So there's still enough room to access those doors. So with the mezzanine space, it's really important having that level up top. So most of the ground floor here, all of the ground floor here is going to be the ceramic studio. So we're going to have classrooms there, we're going to have private studio, we're going to have cleanup area, wedging table in the middle, a glazing table in the middle, and yeah, wheels and kilns at the back as well. So because the space is a little bit smaller and we're trying to fit a lot into it, we have to be very conscious of how we lay things out, and also use as much of the ground floor as possible for the studio. So having such a high ceiling in the industrial warehouse, we can put a mezzanine in, maybe 3 meters above, and that will give another 3 meters headroom above the mezzanine. So that's a fair amount of space that's quite comfortable. So that allows us to dedicate that space to just a chill area, basically. That's the idea, is to have some couches, some tables, a communal dining table, kitchenette, and a little library with all the ceramic related books that we'll put into it. And people can just hang out there, have a break from actually working, or they can just go and have a chat and talk to people, or just watch other people work from above. I think that's going to be a very important thing, because our studio is so community based. We need to have space and room for people to actually connect to each other and actually have a chance to talk. I think when you're on the wheel or on your workbench doing stuff, it's hard to really have a conversation that way. And obviously for people who are introverts who don't want to communicate, like myself sometimes, we're probably going to have smaller areas where it's maybe a table for two. So if you're sitting there by yourself, then no one's going to really interrupt you, and you can do your own thing, put some headphones on, and that's totally fine as well. People might want to come in and just do some work on the laptop, for example. If they have some stuff for sale, they just want to do their Shopify stuff or their Squarespace or whatever, they can come in and do that. They don't have to do that at home if they don't feel like it. You know, working from home is great, but sometimes you just want to be around people even if you're not communicating with them. So I wanted that space to be accessible like that. You can use it as a workspace, you can use it as a social space, a lunchroom, and we might put a bit of fruits and snacks and things that people can also, you know, buy and or just have. Yeah, so the mezzanine, even though it's going to be a bit of a cost, that and the aircon is probably our two, well, if you ignore all the equipment and kilns and stuff. So in terms of just the fit out of the space, the mezzanine and the aircon is going to be two of our biggest costs. And it's also two things that we have to do it. It's a deal breaker. So the warehouse isn't very well insulated. So in summer here in Australia, it could get quite hot, and in winter, it also gets quite cold. So without air conditioning, I think it's just going to make it that much less appealing to members. I think if we install an aircon, that's going to attract a lot more people coming in, especially Housing in Australia is not great, so a lot of times if you're in an old house, it's really bad during the extreme weather days, and you want to be at somewhere that's got air conditioning basically. Hopefully we can be that space for people to come in and, you know, throw some stuff, make some clay without sweating their ass off. And having the mezzanine just means, yeah, a place where you might want to come in the studio for a whole day, but obviously you don't want to just sit on the workbench for 8 hours straight. You want to have some break, grab a cup of tea, make some coffee, whatever. It's almost, yeah, just making a very nice co-working space, similar to offices like that, where, you know, having a bit of amenity that's nice, it's going to be a lot more attractive again. So we want to provide a really good service, and also because we want to make money and we want to attract more customers and more members. Yeah, so that's why the aircon and the mezzanine is a deal breaker. Like, we have to do it no matter what. Like, I can cut corners elsewhere. I can not do the office and just leave it for a while. We cannot do as much advertising. Oh, can we? Now that we're not on the main road, I think advertising is going to be a priority as well. But yeah, anyway, so we could cut corners at other places and kind of come back and do those smaller things over time as we have our cash flow back up. But the mezzanine, the aircon needs to be done before we launch, because it you know, we need the space to be quite empty to do all that construction work. So we have to do it now. It's hard to retrofit it. Anyway, so that's those two. And then I guess the other bigger cost will be we're getting a gas kiln. So we're getting a 500 litre Rode gas kiln, which is very exciting. This property itself does not have gas. There's gas lines on the street, so we're going to have to get it connected and create a new connection basically. So I have no idea how much that's going to cost, but so in terms of equipment, that's probably like one of the must-have. We've always had electric kilns and they're great, but sometimes it would be nice to offer an alternative and just do a bit of reduction firing and, you know, play with glazes that are completely different. Everyone who's doing firing surface in Melbourne are doing it out of an electric kiln, so everything's oxidation, which is great again. But if no one's doing it, I think if we can afford to provide that service, that's going to help us attract a lot of makers to the studio, just to use our firing surface, and then they might become members, or they might want to join our workshops and classes and stuff like that. So there's a lot of vertical integration that's involved, which I think that topic alone will be a dedicated video in the future. We'll probably do one in the office. I haven't done a video for so long, just setting everything up and getting everything right. It's a new camera. It doesn't have autofocus, which I'm kind of kicking myself, because this camera was not, I didn't buy this for YouTube basically. This is for photography and video work. So it looks amazing, but not having autofocus is so annoying. So basically right now, I have to set up a wireless monitor. I also have a wireless follow focus, so I can change focus very quickly and remotely, so I can just look at this and do it that way. But if I walk around, that's going to be an issue. I want to get to a stage where we can have someone to actually film a lot of this, so I don't have to do this by myself. It's really hard. Yeah, so maybe it's worth just seeing if there's a freelance videographer out there who might want to do some camera operating. But obviously, if we do that, we're going to have to be a lot more structured with our videos, with kind of planning and scripts and all that stuff. Or else we just start rambling like this and I don't know how to end the videos. So yeah, this is just a quick sneak peek. I wasn't even planning to do a video today. I was halfway through unloading the truck and I just thought maybe it's nice to do it while it's still fairly empty so you can see what's actually going on. But I'll definitely try my best to produce regular video, even if it's just straight talking to camera, a bit of an update of what's going on and, you know, what we've built and how far along we are and things like that. I think for my own sake and for my own kind of journey, it's really nice. I often go back and watch videos that we made during the renovation of the first place, just to see how it was done, and it's just a bit nostalgic, even though it was only 2 years ago. It hasn't been that long. Anyway, back to work. Hopefully we'll see you guys soon.